Well, hello everybody. Long time no see here at Region Weather Live. I'm meteorologist Brad Warner, and I think I just owe everybody a little bit of an explanation and just my thought process as to, I guess, the lack of being on here on this channel lately, and just kind of where I'm at with things regarding the channel. You know, before New Year's Eve, had a little chat with Scott, or my other administrator, very loyal viewer on this channel, just kind of off to the side, and told him how lacking enthusiasm for this channel, just it's fading. Having a hard time bringing myself to do what I need to do in front of the camera for everybody in order to get the best weather information out there for you guys. Now, part of the problem has been the weather. We've really been lacking just the really interesting weather that draws people to this type of channel. We haven't had much or severe weather over the summer last summer. Obviously, this winter has been really mild, not much going on except for a few storms here or there. But there's just been a growing frustration with the channel and YouTube, and just the amount of viewers and the real lack of growth that's been taking place with this particular channel, and just been eating at me, and it's been making it difficult, I guess, to get in front of the camera and make my forecasts at a more regular basis. That's not to take away from the loyal viewers that I have out there, and I know you're out there, and I appreciate it because you guys are definitely out there. I mentioned Scott, we have Grace's, we got Hermit, Sixth Wheel. My sister's been a long time watcher. I've even got people I know from UND up here in Grand Forks that will watch the channel to help them decide whether they should cancel classes or delay classes. I've been told that before as far as planning purposes go, and that's really cool. That is neat, but it's been very frustrating otherwise to just see the minuscule growth happening on the channel, and it just gets me going, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with how I'm doing things? Why can't I get this to take off? You know, I started this with the thought that this would be something of 3 to 5 years. And right now we are in the third year. We're going through the third year currently. And when I started this, I thought, you know, I wanted to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, because that was kind of the gold mark at the time. That's when you could start monetizing and doing more throughout YouTube. And that took me 8 months to do. It took me 8 months to get 1,000 subscribers, and that was fantastic. It grew way quicker actually than I thought. However, since then, it's been a year and a half since I've reached my 1,000 subscribers, and I've only added about 800 more subscribers. So that's been really challenging, and just, I guess, eating at me, in that how it went so quick right away and then it just died off. And again, me as a YouTube, part of the problem I think might be somewhat they've changed things on YouTube, but still, it's so just frustrating. That's the only word I've got for it right now. You know, and not only that, but when I first started out, maybe this does go to more what's going on with YouTube, but when I started and we'd have some of these bigger storms, especially the winter storms, I would get pretty easily 1,000 views on these videos that I would put out. But then recently, it seems like now, maybe 500 tops lately is what I'm seeing, 550 at the top end of it. Generally, and that's with a storm coming. That's with a good storm coming. I might get 500 views just naturally. But for the most part, it's a lot of times it's 300, 350 if a big storm's coming. Otherwise, generally, I'm looking at 250 to 300 views on most other videos that I put out. Now, this is where the little nerd in me breaks down some of the statistics based on this. So let's think about this. Say 350 views on average, just typical type of video that I'm putting out. And maybe that's even a little high just for an average right now, the way things have been going. But the population in Minnesota is 5,700,000. North Dakota is 774,000. South Dakota, 844,000. So between the three states that I cover, 7,377,000 people. Not all of them obviously are looking for weather information, and some are, teenagers, and this population, that number comprises of everybody, obviously. So let's break this down a little more. Out of the 18 plus, I kind of figured roughly about 75% of the population around here is 18 and older. So that comes down to about 5.5 million people. So with 5.5 million people available to me, and I'm only getting 350 views, that comes down to 0.006% of that population that I'm reaching. Now, let's go a little step further and say right now, most of my views are the older generation, people 55 and older. So that breaks down to roughly 1,300,000 people across the three states for those 55 and older. So at 350 views, that basically breaks down to 0.027% of that population that are watching my videos. So not big numbers at all. We're barely not even close to 1% on that. Now, here's where some of the other channels have the advantage. They reach out and just do the shotgun blast across the entire United States. And at 333 million people, if you were to take my percentages and apply that to the population of the United States, just naturally, I should roughly get 15,000 views. And that is about what most roughly get when you watch these YouTube channels. And they might be young adults, even teenagers, just any kind of YouTube channel out there dedicated to weather that probably puts out some kind of weather forecast similar to what I do. Yeah, roughly they might get 10 to 15,000 views on one video because obviously the population is much larger. So I'm at a bit of a disadvantage, but I know that, right? I knew that going in because that's not what I wanted to do. They say when you start a YouTube channel, do something that you're passionate about. In my area of passion, specifically with the weather, is within this region, in this area that I grew up, lived in, worked in all my life within across the Dakotas and Minnesota. This is the area I know well, especially when it comes to forecasting, locations, that type of scenarios, and just kind of how storms want to behave in the area. And this is what I wanted to chase. I wanted to basically be a provider of weather information to this area. And not only that, I know that there are so many areas across rural parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota that are lacking this type of information out there because more and more newspapers are pulling away, TV stations are pulling away. There's not near as many of those, especially in these rural areas that there used to be. People have less places to go watch their weather information. Now, there is the internet, and I always say, please go to the Weather Service. If you're looking for weather information, check out your local weather service, check out their maps, their forecasts. They're going to get you what you need. But when it comes to the media, well, that's gone. It's kind of evaporated in a lot of these places. And so I wanted to be a voice, not only for the larger cities, where a lot of these people are cutting cable and are probably or possibly at least looking for areas to get their weather information from because they don't have cable anymore. Everybody's turning to the internet. What's out there, right? I wanted to be that voice, not only in the larger areas, in areas that are, have cut the cable looking for somewhere else, but just those that have just generally dried up media wise. So I wanted to be that person. And the other thing they say is, don't do it for the followers, don't do it for the money, especially when you start this out. Well, which I'll say first, I've been losing money ever since I've started this, and that makes it difficult. There are far more products I would like to be utilizing, but I've just kind of stopped myself from purchasing them just because I don't want to right now. I can't. And people say do it because you like it, and I do like it. I do. This type of stuff does interest me, but still, I find myself just struggling with it. I don't know if this is exactly what I want, and maybe it's just because the process hasn't gone the way I envisioned it going. I mean, first of all, the professionalism part of it is what bugs me. I don't have the time always to put in that I want to put into this type of channel. I mean, I know this winter I've missed some forecasts. Now I put out a forecast, an early forecast that was pretty good, but as things got closer and forecasts changed, there were times where I've missed forecasts, especially this winter, that looking back on, I think there were signs. There were signs within the models themselves that were changing that I didn't pick up on quick enough because I didn't have the time enough to dedicate to pay attention to what these models were telling me. And I didn't adjust the forecast like I maybe should have, or there were times when I should have gone astray from all the other places, the weather service and the media, because in my head I'm going, their forecast isn't right. There's more coming, but I didn't trust myself because I felt like I wasn't putting in enough research to really do an adequate enough job, I guess, to make that call myself. And along that same line, when it comes to professionalism, I do the live feeds, and I have radars up through the winter and even through the summer, last summer, and I can't spend the time on there that I would like, especially doing this just on the side. I've got a full-time job that I've got to pay attention to, obviously, and there are people paying more attention to my own channel than I am, like Scott and Hermit are on there all the time, and I appreciate that very much, but I don't have the time to always be on there, and that bugs me, between having a family and, like I said, the full-time job that I've got to be at, paying attention to making sure I'm doing things right there. It's been difficult to be there, especially like I said, during these all-day winter storms. I would love to be just paying attention all the time and being there, but like I said, between family, between work, and then just having time to eat, and just maybe having a little downtime or running to the store, just those types of things become difficult. And maybe because I'm not on there, that brings a lack of other chatters. Like I said, I've got my very, very loyal people that come to chat on there, but then that's it. Nobody else comes to chat. Nobody else shares the channel. And that gets kind of disappointing, then there's the times in the summer when we've got one just lone severe storm, or maybe two just random severe storms out there, and I don't have the time to dedicate like I would like from a professional standpoint to be there anytime there's a severe thunderstorm warning. So I kind of started doing it where I just kind of let the channel roll and the warnings would scroll across the bottom, and that worked for the most part. But every once in a while, there'd be the random tornado warning out last year, and I'm nowhere near home to be able to cover it. And that was hard. So it's professionalism. It's the amount of time, it's the amount of energy that it takes to put into this channel. A lot of times, again, By the time things are wrapped up at home, I'm starting this at 10 o'clock at night, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. And that's just sitting down to really analyze the weather, what's going on. Of course, if there's a big storm, I want to put out my own graphics. I got to put together the video. I got to edit it. I got to put, and then it's midnight, and that gets hard. And let's be honest, I'm getting older, and it's getting harder to be up that late constantly. I think of one of my professors back in meteorology. He started his own company years ago as he was basically a professor. Spent a tremendous amount of time in his office at school, spent a tremendous amount of time once his little business got off the ground and grew. It was very, very inspirational. It was so amazing and so cool to basically see this company rise up out of the ashes and become, one of the premier road weather forecasting networks across the country. And it grew, but he spent so much time trying to develop this. And then, unfortunately, he got cancer and died at a young age. And that, I think, was something that sort of hit me too, is that while I very much admired him in what he did and built that company, there was also that little bit of that slap across the face going, but this could be over tomorrow, right? And, where do I want to spend my time? My family is my life, really, and I don't want to miss this part of their lives as they are going through teenage years and graduating and leaving the house. Those are things I don't want to miss because it could be over in an instant, and that was a tough realization for me. So it becomes difficult just from that standpoint to go, how do I put the time and the energy and have the energy to do this and still continue to function and be with my family? It's, again, I keep using the word frustrating, but it's frustrating to see others without a degree out there putting more time in. And they do have more time. They're younger. They don't have kids. They're just starting, a lot of these guys. But the amount of time that they put in and their passion makes me kind of question myself. Like, do I have what it takes? Is my passion for this good enough to keep this type of thing going? What am I passionate about? I mean, I'm passionate about the big storms, the big storms, this big severe weather storms, the thing that everybody loves to watch, especially in the summertime. Everybody's concerned about are those big severe storms that just come swatting through the region from west to east. That's very much obviously what I love. I love the huge winter storms that encompass a couple of states and brings down feet of snow and ice and wind and shuts down the area. That type of stuff obviously fascinates me. That I am definitely passionate about. But I think when I started this, I thought that this would kind of keep growing on the side and then eventually would just kind of get to a place to where I could do this full time. And I think that's really what I wanted. That's the other side of the passion that I wanted, is I wanted this to be full time, right? I wanted to sit at this desk and watch the weather. And if something comes up, pop on live. In the meantime, work on other things, work on digitizing things, work on advertising, and just getting myself out there across various social media sites. I can't do that on a part-time basis. That's very difficult when I do this on the side. But I was hoping that the channel would just grow eventually to the point to where I could do this full time. And at this point, the way things are growing, I would be about 78. But nevertheless, at the moment, I still need to consider this being just something I do on the side, and it's getting more and more difficult. And I don't have as much time like I used to. And here's kind of the second part of the story. I started off by saying before New Year's Eve, I just kind of had these questions run through my head, and I was taking this vacation. and took this cruise, and I thought, okay, we'll see what the cruise does. Maybe I'll come back and I'll be like, all right, let's go bring on the rest of the winter. Well, before I left for the cruise, the place that I worked for before had called me and said, what would it take to bring you back? So, shot him a number that I thought they might take. And after the cruise, it came back and got a call, said, okay, we'll bring you on for that. So I was very surprised. So, okay, I'm going back to my old job. But in the meantime, the current employer said, well, maybe you could do some of the things that I was doing there on the side and we'll pay you. And so I'm like, okay, sure. I already know how to do this. I can do that on the side as well and make some extra money. I will do that. So I switched jobs. I've got a different job, or my old job back, and I'm also kept part of the other job that I had. And so here you can see the mess that I've got right now. You can see some of my old office things kind of spread across the floor here. We're in the process of bringing in a new desk and just making things larger here so that I've got more room for all my things, my stuff, because my current office that I'm in now is quite small, so I can't bring everything that I had before into that office. In the meantime, I've got all this stuff here that we need to figure out where to put as well, and where to organize and file and all that kind of crazy stuff. So, and then on top of that, I've got a senior that's graduating, and I always put together a video that kind of steps through their lives and stuff, and with pictures and music and all that kind of fun stuff. And so I've got that to prepare for and do as well. So a lot of changes, just a lot of things going on. Been training some people on how to do some of my job at the old place that I was at. Okay, here's what you do and how you do it, and moving pieces around, and then coming on to this new job, I guess, and trying to figure out what needs to be done there. So it's been just chaotic, I guess, to say the least. And so I just haven't been available on this channel, and it's going to be difficult for a while. So what do you do? I guess just focus on the storms, specifically the big storms for now, until kind of figure out what to do from there. Now, some might say, well, that will hurt YouTube, because if you don't put stuff out, YouTube might, put yourself, might show me even less to other people. But I guess the way things have been going lately, I kind of say, who cares? Because at the moment, they don't seem to be spreading my video out very much the way it is. And maybe that's just the future. Maybe this accounting and growing that is my future. I don't know. I guess I've always been a big believer that God will direct you, if you let him, if you open yourself up to him. And so maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do, or maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do right now, maybe down the road. So I guess I'm kind of a believer of that I've just got to let him guide me and let go and just kind of figure things out continually as we move along in this process. And maybe that's what's going on, but I guess, for now, I'm down in the whole thing. There's just been a lack of progress, a lack of growth within the channel, and that just really hurts me. I mean, and then myself professionally, there's just been, I kind of been down on that as well. Again, I thank the very, very loyal viewers that are out there. I mean, I wouldn't be putting together this long video if it weren't for you guys, because I feel like I owe it to you guys to kind of explain where my heart is at and what's going on, I guess, basically behind the scenes in a way. And so that's I guess I dedicate this to all you guys that have been here for a while and keep watching and continue to watch. Thank you very, very much. Don't know, I guess, where this will go. How often I'll put out videos, hoping at the very least on the larger storms that I'll issue something, because that's what, you know, I've always kind of had in mind, at least at the minimum, is that, you know, when the big storms come, you'll know. And, you know, that's what other people have said who have commented on here, to say when I issue something, then they know to pay attention. And that's great. That's how I want it to be. So maybe for now, that's where the focus lies. And I guess for those members, there's just a few members out there currently. I definitely won't hold it against you if you cancel a membership, because, you know, to me, I'm doing you, I don't want to say a disservice, but I feel bad if I'm not being more professional about it, if I'm not issuing videos more, and you're not going to disappoint me in the least. I mean, if you want, during the live feeds, if there's a severe storm going on, just donate there, you know, and that'd be great to help offset some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I think this is very fluid at this point, maybe more fluid than I was hoping, you know, going into year 3, but it's very much not developing like I had hoped. And so, given my current situation with my job and everything else that's going on, I have to consider what is going to happen with this. And I don't know. I'm not sure. So in the meantime, like I said, I'll issue videos during the larger storms that are expected, during the big severe storms that are coming. I very, very much hope to be on live during the big severe. We'll see if there's any severe weather events come spring and summer. And I'm not going to just drop off and be done without saying anything. So that's definitely not going to happen. I mean, if it ever comes to that, I'm not close to that point yet at all. But if it would ever come to that, I would definitely give a little sign off. But in the meantime, I think it's just, I got to remain fluid, and I just have to let you guys know that I might not be on as much, or not be issuing videos quite as much. So I hope you won't take that against me. And like I said, if you members out there wind up canceling, I completely understand. So that's my long rant. That's my long-winded explanation. That's where my heart is at. That's all the things that are going on behind the scenes, so to speak. But I just figured I'd owe this to you, my loyal viewers that have been here for quite a while, this explanation. So, all right, with that, there is no big storm coming, so I'm just going to sign off. There is some snow, some rain coming a little bit across South Dakota, Minnesota, but nothing big. So for now, we'll just kind of sign off, and we'll be in touch a little bit down the road if something develops coming across the Dakotas and Minnesota. So for Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody, have a good day.